Hi everybody, I'm going to give you a quick tour and demonstration of the Luxe Lens Perfect Portrait Action Collection. For this demonstration, I've selected this particular image for two reasons. One, it's a very intriguing image as it stands, but two, because this particular portrait has some pretty raw features. And while I like the composition, I know that by applying just a few actions, I can make this image much more flattering for the subject, which is exactly what you want out of portrait photography. Further, I know that I can retain a sense of authenticity to the image and avoid the typical airbrushing effect that you see a lot of newcomers to Photoshop or Lightroom try to apply to their images. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside the Perfect Portrait collection, and then we'll go ahead and start developing this image a bit more professionally. In this collection, you'll find quick items, general workflow, model retouching, color adjustment, lighting, skin tones, grain, and final sharpening. Now these action collections work very intuitively to achieve the effect you're looking for. So for instance, I know right off the bat that I want to brighten and soften this image. So the first thing I'm going to do is select Exposure Increase and press play. After I do that, I know that I'm going to want to take the contrast down a bit. So I'm going to select Contrast Decrease. Now I like where my lights are going, but I do want to play around with the darks just a bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and apply Depth Contrast. And then I'm also going to apply Shadow Booster. Now I really like where that's going, but I also know from experience with portrait photography that adding just a little bit of haze to soften up a portrait tends to be pretty flattering. So I'm going to go ahead and soften this up by applying the Haze Add action. Once I've applied this, I'm going to go ahead and bring the opacity down to maybe about 25 or so, just enough to make that subtle impression and not be too overbearing. So now I've established a pretty good general look for my photo, and I'm going to focus more on my subject for the moment. So I'll start with the Skin Smooth action. By playing this action, I can then select a soft round brush and paint over her skin to achieve a more balanced complexion. Now let me toggle that action off and on real quick so we can see a quick before and after of what we've achieved. The changes seem subtle as you're making them, which is generally how it should be when you're working with portraiture, but the effect on how you perceive the subject has been changed dramatically. And we're going to keep running in that direction. So next I want to go ahead and select Eyes Enhance. When making alterations to a person's eyes, subtlety is key. We look into the eyes of everybody we ever meet, and in that sense, we're all experts. And that means that you don't have to do very much to enhance a person's eyes, because if you do, it's going to become obvious to the viewer that you have made those changes, which is exactly what we don't want to happen. With the Eyes Enhance action, I don't have any concern for that, because I know that the effect is exactly what I want it to be, because I can adjust the amount of effect I'm going to apply. Once I painted in all of my areas, I'm going to go ahead and move the opacity around a bit until I have that subtle, realistic effect. Now the eyes aren't the only feature I'm concerned with here. We also want to make adjustments to the lips, cheeks, and eyebrows. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the lips. Here I'll select the Soft Lip action and smooth out some of those features. Again, I'll be using a soft round brush for this action, and after I apply it, we'll take a look at the before and after. Okay, so we can also see that there are some red tones in the skin, and I'm okay with those colors, but I do want to make sure that I have control over where they are. So I'm going to select the Cheeks Blush action, and I'm going to paint in just a subtle bit of color on both of her cheeks. Now I'm going to scroll down on my action set real quick and select Remove Red. Once I play that action, I'm going to go ahead and locate some of these little red spots on the skin that I want to remove, and I'm going to do that by simply painting over those areas. You can see the benefit of these skin actions because they largely preserve the details in the skin texture while altering those unwanted features, which is something that you're not going to be able to achieve simply by airbrushing away blemishes. I also want to scroll up a bit real quick and do something with these eyebrows. I'll select the eyebrow fill action and press play. This will prompt me to select the eyebrow color, and I'll do that with this little eyedropper. And then I can come in and gently paint over these areas to give them just a bit more body. So once I've accomplished that, I'll show you where we started. And here are the eyebrows now with a bit more of an improvement. Okay, so I think the last adjustment I want to make here is to do a little dodge and burn with the skin in just a couple of select areas. My primary motive here is to make some adjustments around the eyes. So I'm going to use the dodge layer to lighten up a bit of the skin under the eyes and neutralize that sense of having a kind of under eye circle. Once I've achieved that, I'm going to go ahead and select my burn layer, and I'm going to put a bit of shadow above the eyes. And I may also take a moment here to go ahead and see if there are any little areas that I would like to either brighten or darken real quick before I wrap this up, and I'll take just a second to do that. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about this, so I'm going to go ahead and select all these adjustment layers, and I'm going to group them together so we can kind of take a look at a before and after. So here's the image that we started with, and here's what we've achieved with the Luxe Lens Perfect Portrait Collection. You can take portraits in so many different directions, and I love to explore those different directions in every photograph. The beauty of these action sets is that you can play around with all those different styles quickly, professionally, and non-destructively. I can apply as many of these as I want, and I never have to worry about losing my original. I can always revisit any of the alterations I make, and I can generate more and more interesting combinations and effects. So I hope you all enjoyed this demonstration of the Luxe Lens Perfect Portrait Action Set. And I really hope that you all try it out for yourselves and see how much potential there really is in your own photography. Bye now.